Today's episode was made possible by plant lovers and hoes like you. A lot of people are saying that putting plants in pots with no drainage is a death sentence. They're doing it wrong. Today, I'm going to show you a cheat code to get all the benefits of no drainage without the root rot. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this shit. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't know what the end going to turn out like, but I feel like the plant community is too full of examples of everything seeming like it's perfect for plant creators, when the reality is we be fucking up shit just like y'all be fucking up shit. I can't say how much, you know, we got in common when it comes to fucking up, but shit don't always go good. So I feel like I'm gonna just start showing y'all some of my projects and how they turn out, so y'all get an idea of what this shit really is giving, what it's really looking like. So as you can see right now, what I'm doing is I'm getting these Alocasias out of this pot, because at this point I realize if I let them grow together anymore in this pot, I'm never gonna get them separated. And the dragon's breath for me is the most important thing in this pot, because I've been trying to get a dragon breath to grow well for a long time. And wouldn't it fucking be the situation that when I finally get a motherfucker that's thriving, it happens to be a plant that I didn't even know was in the vessel, right? This started out as corms from my Alocasia cuprea, and then I just noticed one day that there was a dragon's breath growing in here, and there's also an Alocasia Jacqueline, which I'm really not worried about, growing in here. The problem now is, though, when I separate this, are these plants going to have a fucking fit, and are they going to all die back, right? If they do die back, it's not going to be for good, but it could turn into a problem, y'all. It really could. So what I'm doing right now is just trying my best to gently separate these roots out without just destroying them at the bottom, right? Because alocasias do not like to have their roots fucked with, and some are worse in that regards than others. For me, I've never done this with any of these particular plants that you see right here. So cuprea, Jacqueline, and dragon's breath. I've never really disturbed the roots of any of these plants. The focus, though, is getting this root ball broke down to a respectable level so that I can come through here and separate them, because separating them is going to be the hardest part, because they've all grown together and these roots are nice and healthy, which is, I'm thankful for that. But I want to be as careful as I can getting this root ball broke down. As you can see, though, it's breaking down pretty well, and all I'm doing is just massaging them just a little bit and shaking them back and forth. Now, I can tell you, looking at this, I'm most likely not moving this to pond. I'm gonna leave these in the substrate that they're in. They're happy. No point of trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Looking at this, I'm just not gonna try that. But I want to get this, which is the dragon's breath. I want to get this out of this pot with this cuprea. I'll try to save the Jacqueline. Not my main focus, though. If the Jacqueline dies, she dies. I don't care. Okay. I know some of y'all like, what the fuck? But that just be how it be sometimes. You know, my main focus here is definitely my dragon's breath. because it's doing so good. So I've killed quite a few of these. They have very particular watering needs. If you let them dry out just about any amount at all, the next thing your plant is going downhill. So I wanted to keep it in a vessel because obviously being in an enclosed vessel has worked, and that's going to be what I'm going to do with Dragon's Breath moving forward. If this one don't work out, I'm going to buy another one because hands down, it's the Alocasia right now that I'm most interested in. So I'm going to keep trying to figure it out no matter what happens. But if this don't work out, I do know that when I get another one, what I want is for that plant to be in a vessel. Looking at this, it looks like Jacqueline is separating on her own from the rest of the team. So she's not really experiencing any problems breaking away from the rest of them. And even though it looks like I'm being pretty rough with this, I am not, y'all. I am massaging this away from the rest of the plants the best I can. This is a Jacqueline right here. You guys can see that. So we got a Jacqueline broke away. Not the focus, but it's in the pot. Now we're just trying to wiggle this Dragon's Breath and massage it away from the rest of the plants. And I'm just taking my fingers in here and just gently rubbing them up and down, moving aside any corms that I find, because there's definitely some corms popping out in this bitch. Here go another one. And the bad part is because this setup, I don't know what is what. Right? I have no clue what is what. And remember, this shit wasn't intentional. I just had some corms that I threw in that I thought were all cupria, and very clearly the corms that were in there were not cupria, because here we are. I'm really hoping this turns out good, y'all, and I am able to get these separated apart without killing anybody. This is the other part of that Jacqueline. It's got a little corm at the bottom of it. This right here looks like another Dragon's Breath that has kind of shot out on the side on its own. Not really too focused on that, but if I can get him out of here, then I can, and it looks like I can. So this is a Dragon's Breath. As you can see, got the little roots on the bottom, and here's the other one, little Dragon's Breath. Right, gonna move those over to the side because it's really the big mamas that we trying to get out of here without destroying. Now the cupria, as far as I'm concerned, it can go back into the vessel that all of this came out of. The Dragon's Breath is the one that we're going to make the self-watering pot for today. So we can get them separated. The Dragon's Breath will get its own pot, and we'll be good. Now, when you get to the end of plants that are tangled together, even if it's a mother plant or whatever, it's two plants that are the same. Once you get to a certain point, if you just start jiggling it like this, usually they will kind of fall apart on their own. They will just naturally figure out how to wiggle apart, and that's what I'm doing here. So we'll see which root systems are which once I'm done. Now, honestly though, because the root system looks so healthy and easy to clean off. Like I could easily run some water over this and get this over to pond. So y'all, I'm gonna, hey, should I pawn it or should I just stick to what's been working? And I'm thinking I should just stick to what's been working and not try to set this up in pond. Just leave this alone and be thankful that I was able to separate it. But here's this root system, very, very healthy. Thankful for that. Here's the root system for our cupria, and it looks good. Very healthy root system on it as well. For the cupria, what I'm gonna do is just put it back where it came from. Like I said, I'm not gonna try to be too fancy, right? I'm gonna put it back where it came from because clearly what it's been doing has been working out fine for it. So I'm not gonna try to go through and reinvent the wheel with the cupria. I'm gonna go through and check for some of these corms. So if you plant them too deep down in the ground, deeper than what they would have naturally been, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna rot. So my goal is not creating a situation where I'm killing plants. All right. And what I'm gonna do is from this pile of shit from behind here, I'm just gonna add in a little bit more chunkiness to this. So I would like to see it be a little bit more chunkier in this pot, and I have all these amendments back here in the back that are already on the fucking table. Why not use them? Why not let them be a part of the party? Why not let them have fun, right? I'm gonna add a little bit of orchid bark to this, a little bit of horticultural charcoal, a little bit of chunky perlite, and mix all of that back in. And then this is just really going to just go straight back into the jar that it came out of. Nothing fancy, nothing spectacular, but you've seen it here. So the LECA down at the bottom of this vessel is the reservoir, right? This is where I would fill the water up for this plant. And then on top of that goes my substrate. So what we're going to do is put this back in here. And the big thing with repotting alocasias is you want to make sure that you put these roots back in here to some extent like they would naturally grow. The roots for the alocasia are naturally going to grow outwards away from the center of the substrate. So if you put these back in here and you put them in here and they're not the way that they would naturally have been, 9 times out of 10 when you're repotting, you're going to end up with some root rot. So pay attention to how you're putting this back in here. Don't just go throwing shit back in the pot any old type of way. Have some fucking respect. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Y'all respect that plant, because y'all done moved him out of his environment, and now you done fucked up all the progress the plant that had with its root system. You need to make sure you get in there and try your best to put it back in there in a way that's natural to the plant, right? Don't just throw the plant back in the pot. So I've done the best that I could. Hopefully that's also good enough for him. But with that said, he's done, right? He's back in his pot. We're going to shake it up a little bit just to make sure everything is where it should be, and just move some of this substrate out of the way on this table, and we're good. One thing you want to make sure of though is that you do not pot this in here so deep that you have the tops of those corms all covered up, because then what that does is it will quickly cause root rot. So that's done. Move him back out the way. say a prayer for him. We are hoping that, you know, he continues to grow and thrive and be all that he can be. All right. We're going to move some of this back, because what we're going to do now is create the self-watering vessel for our... What we're going to do now is create the self-watering vessel for our dragon's breath. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. So this right here, this is simple. This is a plastic cookie jar. It is not acrylic. It's plastic. So when you're looking for plastic stuff, make sure that you're going to get acrylic, because I'm getting ready to drill through this. And my fear, not my experience, my fear is that if I use a acrylic, because of the rigidity of it, it may shatter. It may crack like glass. Not shatter, but crack. And we don't want that. So what's going to happen is, down at the bottom, I'm going to put LECA down here. There'll be a layer of LECA, which will be the reservoir. A lot like this is the reservoir for this pot, right? But this is going to be a little bit wider. And the difference is I will also be able to flush this out. So I can flush all of the water that's in it out. That way we don't have to worry about, if I want to use some fertilizers that are chemical fertilizers and they use salts, them building up inside of the container. Because the main issue that you end up with enclosed containers is going to be the buildup down in the bottom that you can't flush out. So what I'm going to do is decide how high my LECA layer will be. I'm going to say about right here. And because it's going to be right there, I'm going to go ahead and put a hole with a drill. I don't know if y'all can see my drill right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drill now, because I know that's how high my reservoir would be at the bottom. Uh-oh. Let me try a different side. All right. So there's one. And the way I keep up with this is just placing my finger on the opposite side and having it around the same height as the last one. I'm not measuring shit. If y'all want to measure some shit, you measure some shit. But again, I'm not measuring shit. Y'all be careful too. Please don't go poking no damn holes in yourself and then messaging me about what happened. You call 911. Don't tell me shit. Y'all hear what I say? Don't tell me shit. Now I want this other hole to be in the vicinity of the first hole. Don't gotta be nothing fancy. Get your ass in there and get it done. Don't gotta be nothing fancy. Don't overthink it. But the good part about this, like I said, is usually with closed containers, you can't flush the water out. You can't flush the substrate. And that can lead to issues where you end up with plants that are drowning in salts and whatever else you put in there. And that's not good for your plant at all. Not even a little bit. Okay? So we can avoid that by creating a container that has holes in it where we can actually flush out any of those salt buildups that are happening at the bottom of the pot. Now next, what I'm going to do is put the LECA layer in. The LECA layer will be a layer where the water will soak up into the rest of the pot. Okay? So we got the LECA layer, and you see the LECA layer comes up right to where the holes are at in the pile. Don't put it above where the holes are at, because that wouldn't make no sense. Then you just wasting shit, because we know that the water's going to come out at that point. So there's no reason to have the LECA any higher than what we have it right now. So do not make this higher than it is. So now what we need is some substrate. We got some that's already moisturized. We're going to use it, but we also going to mix it with a little fresh. Gonna mix a little fresh, Hello Fresh in there. And we're going to mix a little bit more chunkiness in this. The reason why I'm focusing on this being so chunky is because the dragon's breath is really prone to root rot. Very prone to root rot. So it being inside of an enclosed vessel is already scary anyways, just because it leans towards rotting out naturally, and that ain't what we want. Want to mix a little bit of rocks in here, this pond, because that's basically all pond is rocks. I'll mix some of that in there just to give it an extra chunky opportunity. We want the opportunities to be chunky to the motherfucker. You get the opportunity to live in an extra chunky home, you know, and hopefully you continue to thrive from me and show me some birdie. You know, we like a little birdie in the house. All right. So we're going to get a layer going in here. A layer of our substrate. Don't have to be nothing fancy. Just get a layer of substrate going. And then we're going to bring our dragon's breath. And we're going to put his ass in here. Now remember, these roots naturally are not going to just all go straight down into this pot. They're going to go out toward the edges. And getting that to happen again once you've taken something out of the pot is hard. I'm just going to be honest with you. But be intentional about trying to separate those roots to where they kind of go towards the outside of the pot. Do not have those roots to where they're just going straight down, because that's where you're going to end up with some problems. All right, the goal is to get this back in here and have him feel almost like nothing ever fucking happened. Right? Because if nothing ever fucking happened, we doing the right thing. So as we do this though, shake this, shake it, so that that substrate is going all between those roots that you have left. You don't want to have the plant with the roots just sitting down there and all the soil just piling on top of him and not being incorporated into this correctly. So pay attention to that type of stuff. Don't just go throwing some shit back into the container, but also make sure that with a plant like this, you lift it up a little bit above that soil line. Do not have this planted down super deep into the soil, because when I'm trying to tell y'all, this plant will rot the fuck out on you. It will rot the fuck out on you. I'm not playing. This is a plant that is ready to be rotten. They come like that out the box. Now, I am going to put a layer of pond over the top of this, just to cut back on the ability of these damn fungus gnats, because the fungus gnats are real, y'all. Like, they love these types of setups, they love these types of situations, and they ready at any moment to strike and create issues. So the pond creates a layer where it's just hard for the bugs to come along and start fucking around. Once they start fucking around, you in a bad situation. And when you got a whole bunch of plants like me, woo, my God. So there that is. Hopefully y'all can see that. Hopefully it's clear. But what we're going to do with these now is fill up this reservoir. When you do this, do it slow, because it's hard to tell how much water is going in there until you wait for a little bit. So give it a little bit of time to see how much water is making it to the bottom, and then go ahead and start again. But give it time so that you get to see just how much of the water is actually making it to the bottom of the reservoir. Because what you don't want to do is just be pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring, and your ass not realizing that you've filled that water up way past the bottom of that. Now I'm also going to inoculate this with beneficial bacteria. I use liquid dirt as my beneficial bacteria. Now I'm just going to pour that all around the top of that, and that will just wash down in there on its own. But if I look at the bottom of this, we can see that the water is right above those holes. And if you look at the hole, if I move it forward too much, that water is just going to pour right the fuck out of there, right? So don't lean it forward, because then you're going to pour out the damn water. We're going to move him to the side. But if y'all appreciate this type of content, where y'all just watching me practicing and doing experiments, please let me know down in the comments. If you got questions, drop them motherfuckers down there too. You can support the channel by liking and fucking subscribing. Until next time, thank me later.